This is the Marketing Umbrella Podcast, where it's all about getting the information you need from successful leading marketers to build and grow your digital marketing agency. Brought to you by Itamar Shafir, founder and CEO of Umbrella, the technology platform and brand that is powering thousands of marketing agencies around the country. Find him at umbrellaus.com. And now, here's your host, Itamar Shafir.
Welcome to the Marketing Umbrella Podcast, where we talk with successful marketing experts about ways to build and grow your digital marketing agency. Our guest today is a sales video genius. He produced thousands of videos, infomercials, TV commercials, and sales videos for clients including Google, LinkedIn, McDonald's, Goldman Sachs, Chevy, and Home Depot. His video generated hundreds of millions of views and over $50 million in tracked sales attributed to his content. He is the founder of funnysalesvideos.com and the host of the podcast, How to Make a Video Go Viral. I'm excited to say hello to Mr. Joseph Wilkins. Hi, Joseph.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm awesome, and I'm super excited to talk to you. Like I told you before the show, you're the first video guy that I'm interviewing, and I'm happy it's you because you have such an immense experience, and especially when we're talking about viral video and you focusing a lot of your efforts online, I think it's very relevant for our audience, which is small digital marketers, right? Small digital marketing agencies.
Yeah.
So before we jump into how we can help our listeners with viral sales videos or their clients, maybe you can share a little bit of background about how you got started in this universe.
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you for having me on the show. So I've been doing video marketing in one form or another for 20 years now. So I started out when I kind of left corporate America and started my own video production company. We were primarily focused on television. So infomercials was a big part of what we did, 30-minute long, huge infomercials that would take months and months to produce. Our first infomercial was the Little Giant Ladder infomercial that we were one of 3 companies that produced that, did over $200 million in sales. Just
Wow.
blew my mind. And that kind of got me hooked on, if you create something that's compelling, get it in front of a very big audience, you can have incredible sales. So for about 15 years, that's what we primarily did, was short form and long form television commercials and some corporate website videos. But I don't know about you, but I certainly don't watch television the way that I did 20 years ago, if at all.
No. Yeah.
I certainly don't flip through the channels if I do watch live television. And that's how we used to get you with our infomercials and commercials. And so as you can imagine, our clients' results started dropping and dropping and dropping. The cost of production wasn't getting lower, but the results were. And so eventually our clients said to us, if we don't change something, we can't hire you anymore. And so we started thinking, how do we get back to the days of 2, 3, 4 times return on media ad spend, television ad spend, in a world that no longer watches TV, and more importantly has much shorter attention span and is over communicated to.
Yeah.
And so about 5 years ago is when we really started looking at what companies like the Harmon brothers were doing with these viral style, funny videos that really don't feel like commercials until you're, a good way into the video, right? It starts out as kind of a sketch comedy, the kind of video that you want to watch, that you want to share. And most importantly, you engage with it, you laugh with it, you connect with it. And then once you're kind of invested in watching, that's when they hit you with, oh, this is really a commercial. And we've entertained you with a story that's actually relevant to you so that when I tell you about the product, you're much more likely to immediately buy. And so, we really, up until that point, the funny thing is when clients would call us and say, hey, we saw this company that did this funny video, we want to do one too. We would say, sorry, we don't do funny. Go call someone else. Because the worst thing that you can do is try to be funny when you're really not. And we just didn't have the team of writers that were skilled and, ready to do great comedy work. everyone can tell the difference between somebody who knows good comedy and somebody who's really ends up looking silly. And the last thing you want to do is make your brand look inferior or silly. So anyway, about 5 years ago, we finally said, okay, we've got to invest in finding and hiring the right writers. And I can talk in a minute about how your listeners can do the same thing we did, and assemble a team of really good comedy writers. And it was kind of about the same time, a little bit later, that the Harmon Brothers launched Harmon Brothers University, a mentorship program where they teach marketers, business owners, I'm sure a lot of your listeners have heard about it, where people can go through that course and be mentored by these geniuses that have done these great things. So to give you a compare and contrast, before we launched funny sales videos, which is what we did right before we became students of the Harmon Brothers. Before that, our biggest video that we'd ever done online had 100,000 views, which we thought was pretty good. Our very first campaign after we assembled this team and did a funny video, between, let me get the numbers right, between 3 videos that we did, fairly low budget, got 7 million views.
Wow.
So immediately we knew that, you know, the market was responding. Now, more important to views is sales. So this was a pretty small, very niche company. I mean, a lot of people say, what kind of business can use a funny video? Well, this was a very, very niche Christian movie streaming service. So think Netflix for Christians, Bible videos and things like that. We got 7 million views and we got over $500,000 in signups from those videos. That
actually, you know, brings up a very interesting question that I wanted to ask you anyways, just to delay on that point of segments. B2C, videos, TV, infomercials, understandable. B2B, can we go funny as well, even if it's not a huge brand?
Yes. And you can do either direct sales or just lead gen. So I always tell people the only clients who can benefit from a funny sales video are companies that are marketing to humans with emotions. I mean, literally, it doesn't matter whether you're B2B, B2C, nonprofit, whatever, as long as your audience are humans, you can connect to them. Now, I'll qualify that by saying it has to be a relevant funny story. So there's a complete difference between the kind of humor that you're going to tell in a B2B SaaS video targeting CXOs. That's got to be very intelligent. It's got to, you know, hit on pain points in funny ways that your average CXO will relate to. Contrast that with an acne cream for tweens. That's totally different, right? And so you also need a different set of writers, or at very least a different focus group to test that writing on before you produce it. And we'll get into that in a minute in the 8 steps that are in our free ebook that your listeners can download. So anyway, back to our journey. After that first campaign where we saw 7 million views and $500,000 in attributable sales, directly tracked sales, and that doesn't include, you know, long-term effects. And that's another great thing about funny videos, is that it's not just about direct sales. It's about, if I can get you to smile, if I can get you to laugh, if I can get you to belly laugh at my brand, how much more connection is that than a spammy email or a spammy, you know, clickbaity video view? So these views are way more valuable in terms of brand recognition, likability, you know, creating the culture of a tribe of people that actually enjoy interacting with your brand. And that's a whole nother subject that we can get into. But one of our recent clients said they tried for years to get into these big box retailers and never could. And then after they launched their video, so many people came into the store saying, you know, do you sell this? I've seen it online.
Right.
And their buyers started calling them to say, we want to stock your product. So anyway, there's all sorts of trickle down.
Was that the laundry one?
It was, yes. So fast forward to today, our most successful campaign to date is True Earth laundry strips.
I love it. I watched it 2 times.
Thank you. Well, that's the ultimate compliment if you watched it twice. I mean, that campaign between, I think we're on our 5th video now. We're about to hit 90 million views on that campaign. So, and, you know, millions and millions of dollars in directly tracked sales. And then, you know, I don't know what else in those, you know, other avenues of revenue.
Intangibles. Yeah.
So that's kind of where we are today. And kind of where we position ourselves is we wanted to figure out, we're a very scrappy agency. And a lot of your listeners are probably small business owners that don't have huge budgets to hire, you know, these bigger agencies that charge millions of dollars in some cases for these kinds of campaigns. We wanted to figure out, you know, how do we do that at a fraction of that price? I mean, I'm talking, you know, less than 10% of what some of our competitors are charging.
So maybe, you know, let's try to make it effective for our members. Let's say for our listeners, let's say, for example, they're thinking out there, okay, my client can benefit from this. My client can benefit from this. My client is an attorney. My client is an HVAC company. My client is a retailer. How much would it cost me to, you know, to get them this funny video up?
Yeah. So now may be a good time to drop the secret bomb, which is, these aren't organically viral videos. Now, I'll qualify that. Many of these big agencies have openly admitted that the big videos that have, you know, hundreds of millions of views maybe would have got 100,000 views if it wasn't for paid ads. Mm-hmm. It's like a snowball. You have to start it with paid ads. Once that snowball gets rolling, it will get a lot of shares. And, you know, our True Earth campaign is a great example. You know, hundreds of thousands of comments, likes, shares, you know, free organic views, millions of free organic views, but still not the lion's share. Probably not even 10% are organic. But that's actually good news, because what you want in business is reliability, repeatability, scalability. You can't do that with, you know, these flash in the pan, will it go viral, will it not kinds of videos. Right. You want to be able to count on something. So when I talk about in our podcast, how to make a video go viral, the opening segment, kind of the bumper at the beginning says, you know, the podcast that admits its title is nothing but clickbait and should be renamed how to make a video that, when fueled with paid ads, will bring you enough sales to continue running it so that it will make it look like it went viral. And you know, that's not the goal to look like it went viral, but what the goal is to get sales. And the way that you get that is by just continuing to run that ad, getting a higher return on investment. So I explain it like a magical vending machine full of $100 bills, and that vending machine costs $20 to use. How many times are you going to want to use that vending machine? Yeah. That's what these ads do. They convert, and client after client after client. I don't want to toot our horn too much, but if you go to funnysalesvideos.com, right at the top, there's 4 or 5 case studies. You know, one of them is talking about how their video made so many sales in the first 24 hours of launch that it paid for the video 4 times over. And, you know, other people that have doubled their sales and tripled their sales. Right. But these videos just convert at so much higher level. And that's what you're after, is conversion and increasing the results that you're getting from your current, what I call typical boring Me Too ads, you know, the kinds that just look exactly like the next one that you're going to scroll past in your feed. Right.
So it's still, I want to give them some sort of ballpark number, because I know a lot of the people that are listening to us are very practical and tactical. Sure. And we try to make it tactical. Yeah. And maybe, you know, maybe they say, okay, I want to work with funny sales videos, or maybe they say, okay, maybe this could be a good payday for me, or I'm stuck. I did for this client as much as I could, and it doesn't seem to get better. We were in the situation the same for our company, and, you know, advertising is not easy. You need to innovate. Sales videos, making them viral, making them convert, not easy. You need experts. But
So yeah,
and yeah,
the short answer to your question, there's two ways that your listeners can do it. Number one is to do it on the cheap. Download my free ebook and follow every single step. Now, there's two steps in there that you don't want to do yourself. And we can get into that in a sec. But step number one is what I said earlier. You don't want to write it yourself. Absolutely not. You may want to assist in writing the marketing points, but you don't, if you're not a trained script writer, if you're not a trained comedian, if you've never stood up on a stage and done stand-up, which is where most of the people that freelance for me spend most of their time, you don't have the skills to write it yourself. So you need to go and spend money to hire the right writers, but that's very affordable. And I can tell you how to do that. The other thing that you don't want to try to do yourself is act in it, or get your friends and family to act in it, or get your employees to act in it, unless they are trained comedy actors, not even regular actors. I don't hire regular actors. I only look for people who have experience doing comedy, doing improv. And if you're willing to spend money on those two things, everything else you can do yourself. Now, you know, you're still not gonna get the kinds of results as if you did all 8 steps the very best way. But you know, if you wanted to hire us, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars. Our average video takes about 4 months to produce and has about 20 people writing, shooting, editing, you know, directing. So that'll give you a ballpark. But again, don't think that that's the end. That's just the beginning, because then you got to put a budget towards promoting the ad. Now, I have customers, I have clients. In fact, there's an interview with one of them on our website where it says we doubled our sales. He was a one-man band. The previous year, he had spent a total of $85,000 on marketing. So very, very small budget. He saved up and invested in one of these packages. And actually, between me and the agency that we were working for, you know, the video was paid off before we even launched it because of some of the other things that we helped him do. But a year later, he had doubled his sales month over month and was consistently, you know, bringing in sales because of this campaign. And he was only spending $100 a day on ads. Very small, manageable growth.
So that's amazing. And do you find this kind of a pattern? So, you know, agencies can go to their clients and say, look, we invest in this because this is very high converting. Let's start with $100 and grow, and we can expect to be, you know, ROI positive within what, 3, 6, 9 months, within the first year. What do you think is a comfortable ballpark to suggest to a client?
So now you're getting into details that I'm not that proficient and qualified to speak on. I'm a creative, right? So I partner with digital agencies to actually run those ads. Yeah. What I can tell you is that, you know, companies like True Earth, they want us to create more videos than we can keep up with. That's how profitable they are. I literally have 2 that we're working on right now. And they want to continue pumping them out because clearly they're working more effectively than the other creative that they're running.
This podcast is brought to you by Umbrella. Have an agency? Check out umbrellaus.com to grow it today.
Yeah, it's very effective. It looks very effective. I haven't looked at the numbers, but from my personal experience. So let's talk about, all right, one thing, guys, if you're listening, you want a video for your agencies, a few tens of thousands of dollars, and the media budget's definitely manageable if you start with $100 and grow. If you're looking to do it for clients, I know a lot of small businesses that can afford that. I'm not talking about micro businesses, you know, somebody who's just starting up, making $200,000 a year, no. But somebody who's making a few millions of dollars and want to take it to the next step, definitely manageable budgets. Now let's talk about, okay, I'm growing my business.
Yep.
I'm an agency. I'm going to invest a little bit in the script writer that, you know, has comedy skills. I'm going to invest in an actor. What's the other steps I need to do to make it viral? Because making it funny, okay, maybe the script writer could do it. Does that script also responsible to taking it viral, or there is a different methodology to it?
So I'll run through the 8 steps real quick, and then you can tell me what you want to expand on. Step number 1, your audience probably already knows this. Marketing 101, know your customer. Understand who they are. Understand what are their problems, what are their pain points, where do they spend their time, what kind of messaging are they going to respond to. You can't start out with a script. You have to start out with the research, and the more research you can do, the better. And the number one way to do some great research is to read. We won't work with a company unless they provide us a link to at least 100 reviews from their customers, so that we can get inside their minds. A lot of the times our customers will think that they know why people buy their product. Then we'll go through this exercise and we'll come back to them and say, you know, you may think that this is the reason, but really there's a much deeper reason why they buy your product, right? You might think it's because, you know, they want to lose weight, but really it's because they want to feel confident when they walk into the room in their 10-year high school reunion, or whatever it is. And the most common comment on social media that we love and we get all the time is, I felt like that was me in the video. Right. And then, you know, you've connected. And the reason we make it feel like the customer is because the customer literally writes part of the script, because we steal lines from comments, and we, you know, good and bad. So you have to address your objections or people won't buy. If your product is too expensive, you got to address that, or else they won't buy. If your product is a little bit complicated and people don't understand it, you got to explain it. And these kinds of videos are great for education, because people will sit and watch them for longer than they would a boring educational video. So anyway, step number 1 is do your research, understand as much as you can about your customer. Step 2 is brainstorm. And I typically say brainstorm 50 different concepts. And a concept is simply, who's the character and what's his problem? The more fun and entertaining you can make that, the better, but it still needs to be rooted in reality of a problem that your customer avatar has. And so, you know, you can go crazy and come up with terrible ideas, because a really bad idea may trigger somebody else to get a good idea. And this is where you need to create a brain share, a group of people, whether it's employees in your company or some of the writers that I'll talk about, that are going to be on a virtual writer's room. So a lot of my writers that work for me, I've never met in person. I find them on sites like Fiverr or Upwork or, you know, Freelancer. Wow. All of these places where really good, you have to sift through a lot of the crap to get to the good. But there are people that are willing to work for very reasonable rates as a freelancer, and you can include them in that brainstorm. So after you've done your brainstorming, you want to distill it down to the best ideas and then finally pick the one. That's when you go into your script writing. And script writing for us goes through 3 phases. Phase 1 is the marketing copy points. What are the 5 top reasons that you discovered from going through those reviews and the other research? What are the top 5 reasons people actually buy? And obviously you want to hit the number 1 reason many more times in that 3 to 4 minute video than you do number 5. Right. And then also, what are the 2 top objections, if there needs to be objections addressed in order to make the sale? Again, it's not about being funny, it's about making a sale. And anything that detracts from that, you have to cut. Some of our best jokes end up being detracting from the actual message, and they have to go. It's not about being funny, it's about making a sale. And so, you know, once you've got that marketing message down, then I typically have about 9 writers on any script. You go from marketing copywriters to a script writer. That's a creative storyteller that puts kind of the flesh on the skeleton, which is the marketing copy points. Then once you go through multiple revisions of that, you send it off to your comedy writers. I typically have 5 or more comedy writers that, again, their job is nothing more than to read the story and then pepper in as many funny lines, witty jokes, you know, surprising twists on the story that we've written. And that whole process that I've just gone through normally takes about 2 months. It's a lot of work, because you don't want to start filming a script that isn't ready. It's like putting a cake in the oven that doesn't have all of the ingredients in. It's, crap in, crap out. You gotta make sure that script is really, really ready for production. And a huge part of that is testing it. I mentioned it earlier. Find your customer avatar. If you're a business and have customers that, that you can reach out to and say, hey, can I get your opinion on this? Use SurveyMonkey or, other services.
Right.
Get feedback, make sure it's working. Let people read it, watch them if possible to see, do they laugh? Do they smile? Do they get it? Are they confused? Where are they confused? How can we fix it? Most importantly, are they asking buying questions after they watch it or read the script? How much does it cost? Where can I get it? These are signs that your script is working. If people say, I don't get it, or I don't get this part, you've got more work to do. Okay, moving on. So that's step 4 is adding the comedy. Step 5 is the production. Now, as a guy who has literally worked for 20 years in a studio day in and day out, you'd think that I would say the production is the most important part. And it's not. Everything else that I've talked about is, but the number one thing you want to do to create a video that will be disruptive and will stop the scroll, which is the most important thing. If you can't stop the scroll, nothing in your video is going to get seen. So the first 5 to 10 seconds, we call it the opening grabber or the hook. First 5 to 10 seconds is the most important. So it has to look shocking, surprising, curiosity piquing. The more things you can do to make that first 5 to 10 seconds look different than any other video that they've scrolled past, the better. And one of the ways to do that is not to use your phone, which everyone else is using. And so everyone's video looks the same.
That's by the way, I noticed that, with a lot of people, in our ecosystem, a lot of gurus are using it in many different, shooting themselves with the phone, walking and talking. It was novel. I don't remember when, but like a year ago or 2 years ago, it was novel, right? And now it's not so much. Now it's getting to a place where it's just a phone, like it's low production value.
There's still a place for those kinds of videos. I always tell people, because our videos take 3 to 4 months to produce, I tell my clients, keep kicking out content. It's like a salad. You may have, these kinds of vegetables. That's like, you may have user-generated videos that you post on your Facebook. You may have messages from the CEO, updates, product reviews, unboxing, all of these low-budget video productions. They're great. It's just not going to get you the kinds of results that these will, but you can't kick out one of these every week.
Right.
And so there's a place for those. But the biggest thing that you want to do is stop the scroll and make your visuals arresting. So I'll give you an example. Just last week for True Earth, the eco strips, we had a video, and the message of the video was 2 kids. In fact, they're the 2 kids from the very first video that we did. We brought them back, but this time they're the hero of the video. And they're talking about how if you grown-ups don't quit messing up the planet, we won't have a place when we become grown-ups. And the opening shot is a close-up of the kid upside down hanging in a tree. And he says, think this is a dangerous thing for kids to do? And then the camera zooms out and you see his little brother lighting a fire below him. And then his brother holding a can of gasoline, this big fire's burning underneath his brother. And his little brother turns to the camera and says, what you grown-ups are doing puts us in way more danger. And then it cuts to the sales pitch, right? But that's a hook that you can't scroll past. You've got to know what's going on when you see a kid burning his brother hanging upside down in a tree.
Right.
And so these are the kinds of visual things if you have a percentage of creativity, you want to put as much into the opening 5 to 10 seconds of that creativity as you can possibly put. Because if people don't watch that, none of the rest matters. So anyway, we've talked about production as far as shooting, do it yourself or hire a professional company. But the most important part is the casting. So audition, lots of actors. A lot of businesses don't understand that it costs nothing to get a bunch of actors to audition your script. They'll do it, especially these days after COVID, they'll do it from home. they'll send you an audition video. And when we do our videos, we probably go through 100 actors.
Wow.
We'll select, maybe 10 of them to come back for callbacks. We'll do a live Zoom audition, and then we'll bring the top 2 or 3 into our studio. The most important part of a director's job is picking the right actors. If you do that, 80% of your work is done. And then step 6, all sorts of other things we could talk about production. And another thing, by the way, is if you pick improv comedians, they'll come up with stuff during the filming that's way better than what's on your script. They'll improv and add a line here, and you want to make sure you give the actors enough room that they don't feel so restricted to that script. Yes, you want them to deliver it as scripted, but I always say to my actors on the last take, give me something different, play with it, And a lot of our best lines sometimes come from spontaneity.
So those are the 6. No, we're at 6. We have 8.
So sorry. So number 6 is get a great editor who knows comedic timing. Again, you can do it yourself, but comedy is all about timing. The same joke filmed one way can just be played that way, or you can speed it up or put a cut here or intercut 2 lines, and the timing just works so much better. So knowing how to edit is really key. Step 7, we've already touched on, but it's testing at every phase. So we create 3 different hooks for every video. So it's the same video with 3 different opening 5 to 10 second hooks. And then we'll have our marketing partners test, ABC test, which one gets the better click-through rate, which one gets the better watch-through rate. And then before we open up our budgets and spend a lot on one version, we test it to see which of those 3 versions will do best. We also typically do that with calls to action. So, one call to action could be buy one, get one free. One call to action could be get 25% off. One call to action could be click now to download this free ebook. Whatever it is, you got to create those irresistible offers, but then test them before you spend all of your money. And then edit.
Hold just a second.
Yeah.
When you say test them, what do you mean?
Again, I'm not the Facebook or Instagram or YouTube ad guru, but my digital partners will take these videos and, spend $100 a day on this one, $100 a day on this one, $100 a day on this one, and look at the click-through rates.
So you'll actually edit the same video with many endings.
Yes.
With different. Okay, excellent.
3 different openings, typically 3 different openings, 3 different offers. So there's 9 different versions of the same video. Then we'll do a long version, 3.5, maybe 4 minutes. And we'll do a short version so that we can run it on platforms that don't allow longer videos, typically under 2 minutes. And the interesting thing is on platforms that allow longer versions, we almost always find the longer version outperforms the shorter version. Now that's counter to everything that, these Facebook reps will tell you. They'll tell you, make a video 15 seconds long, shove the call to action straight up front. Well, that's because if you don't have the creativity and the storytelling and the attention grabbing capabilities, I absolutely agree. You have to shove the call to action down their throat before they click away. But with our videos, we find that people just watch through them so much more. And by the time people connect with these stories, that's when the call to action is the most effective, once they've connected with it. And so those longer versions typically outperform the shorter versions. So testing is step 7, and from the script level to the editing level to the running ads level. And then step 8 is forget viral. We've already talked about that. You got to forget about trying to put all of your money on one number on a Russian roulette table, which is what creating an organically viral video is. You got to have the plan of, okay, now that I've got the video, I understand that it's going to be, I spend this much, I get this much back, but it's a gradual process and you've got to ramp up. And a lot of the time, the digital partners I work with, they will start their campaigns not optimizing for the sale. They'll optimize for video views so that it gets some social proof on it. And Facebook will then want to show it to more people because of how people interact with the video in the first, 10,000 views or so. If you show it 10,000 times and you get a high percentage of people commenting, liking, sharing, then the next views are going to be less expensive. And then you optimize for sales conversions. And that's when the money really starts to roll in.
Perfect. So there is absolutely no way I would do this myself. I don't believe a lot of our listeners would do it themselves because I get the methodology. I think people get it, but on the flip side, it's a lot of work. And I imagine, they're in betweens, right? You can do 30% of what you suggested, and it will still be twice as good as just being a talking head, which is what you're doing today. But I think when you mentioned the prices before, a few tens of thousands of dollars, probably you have higher as well, but maybe that's where it starts.
No, it's actually low tens of thousands.
So I think that's very affordable for a lot of businesses because we're talking, at least guys, go on funnysalesvideos.com and you'll see the examples of the videos they're doing there. Like very high production, high end kind of videos that are also funny and engaging. There's no way I can do something like that myself. So, for me, it's either going to do it right or I'm just going to do what I know. Okay. Maybe not, just not fire videos, just regular Facebook advertising, Google advertising, which is okay. I had an agency for 7 years. When I had a chance to do videos with people, I did it. When I didn't, we did PPC, we did Google advertising for some businesses, works very well, even with limited content. But I'm a great believer in the video also because of something you said before. And I don't think, I know marketers appreciate it. I don't know small businesses not always appreciate it. It's a brand builder.
Oh, yeah.
They don't get it. They don't understand that the brand itself is responsible for much of the conversions.
Yes.
Once that brand equity goes up, then even the regular ads convert better. Everything starts to convert better.
Yep. And you'll never track that with a pixel.
Exactly. It's the same as, being on a lot of podcasts and having a lot of content out there. More people know about you, your brand grows, and then, just people, the trough factor grows, and then sales conversions grow on all the ads. So I'm a big believer in that. So I have something that before we end this session, which was fantastic, by the way. And thank you very much for your suggestions. We have a rapid Q&A section.
Okay.
I want to ask you a few questions. They're not edgy by any means, but if you feel uncomfortable answering any of them, just say pass.
Okay, hit me.
Okay. Did you get along with your parents growing up?
Most of the time, yeah. Certainly not all the time.
That's a cop-out. Did you get along with them or not?
I would say in general, yes.
Okay. Do you have siblings?
I do. I have 5.
Very nice. Do you have a pet?
I have 2 rabbits and 2 chickens.
2 chickens?
I do.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I have questions about that, but I'll just continue with the Q&A for now.
Okay.
Do you have kids?
I do. I have 3 kids and 1 on the way.
Oh, congrats.
My great joy.
How old were you when your first kid was born?
Ooh, 27.
When do you wake up?
6 o'clock every morning on the dot.
When do you go to bed?
10 o'clock on the dot.
Ideal vacation?
Cancun. I've been there 5 times.
Are you a man of faith?
I am.
Excellent. So, Joseph, thank you very, very much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been fun. I enjoyed the lightning round as well.
And guys, please go to funnysalesvideos.com. Look at the videos. They're doing amazing work, Joseph and the team. I think it's very relevant for a lot of people that are hearing us, both for your agency, but mainly probably for your clients. And for those of you who want to go through the 8 steps, you have that on the site, right, Joseph?
I do. And I'll just add one more plug. If you've enjoyed anything we've talked about here today, subscribe to my podcast, How to Make a Video Go Viral, and learn a heck of a lot more.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Joseph.
Hey, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Thank you for tuning into another episode of the Marketing Umbrella Podcast, where we provide the information you need from successful leading marketers to build and grow your digital marketing agency. Your host has been Itamar Shafir, founder and CEO of Umbrella, the technology platform and brand that is powering thousands of marketing agencies around the country. Find him at umbrellaus.com.